Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to my DDPY journey. I hope you all are well. Before we get into some of the meat of this video, let's do a little bit of housekeeping. I'm not sure if I mentioned this in a previous video. I believe I have. But when I started eating a little bit healthier, eating a little bit less junk food, and not drinking pop, that affected my allergies in a real positive way. I'm still not sure why. But this week, and it wasn't just me, it was all across town, allergies came back with a vengeance. There's so much cotton flying through the air right now that people thought I had pink eye for the last 3 or 4 days. So if one or both of my eyes look a little jacked up, that's why. So let's talk about consumption. What did I have this week that I probably shouldn't have, that I need to be held accountable for? Well, I had a pizza. There was another wrestling pay-per-view, so I had some more pizza. That seems to be a little association I have on occasion, but I'm aware of it, and it's not going to be like that all the time. So pizza and pop, and somehow I still was down in weight a couple of days later. I even had a 201.8 day, I believe, on the same morning that I decided to have a Red Bull because I just needed something to get through. Yes, I had a Red Bull. Yes, I had some pizza. Yes, I had some pop. But yes, technically I'm still down in weight for the week. I actually ended the week at 202 even. Now, Friday, it was extremely hot in the kitchen that I work in, and I was sweating my butt off all night long. So when I got home, I was curious. I knew I was a little bit dehydrated, and I hadn't eaten dinner yet. I wanted to see how much I weighed at that time. It was under 200 pounds, 199.2. Now, I rehydrated, and I ate dinner, and of course I ended the week up, but we are trending in that right direction. 199. That's insane. Juana called it Wonderland, which I thought was both hilarious and genius. I have no idea if she's the one that came up with it, but she told it to me for the first time, so I'm giving her that credit. Wonderland. I did have a scorecard oops this week, as you'll see here in a minute. I accidentally didn't screenshot it on Saturday. I screenshotted it on Sunday, and Sunday is the beginning of the DDPY week, so my calories are at 0 and my consistency is at 0. But you can see how my points have gone up. So bear with me. This next piece, I'm going to start with the beginning of the Serenity Prayer, which I'm sure all of you know. Lord, grant me the strength to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So this week at work, yes, I did stop myself from getting mad and taking it out on people. Ended up getting physical for the first time in quite a while with the accumulation of things that had happened that day. And we had a bunch of people and a couple big tops come in really late. I took my frustration out on a fry box. Nobody saw it. Nobody knew what I did until the next day. But I stopped myself from taking it out on anybody else. And even though it manifested in a physical form which is not healthy, it's progress that I didn't take it out on anybody in particular. So what's the big anger, mental revelation, epiphany that I had this week? Well, there's a reason I started off with the Serenity Prayer. Apparently that last part, being wise enough to know the difference, I haven't mastered yet. After thinking about it for a long time, trying to wrap it up in a little bow so I can verbalize it to anybody, really, not just you guys. But here's the thing that I've realized with me. There is a correct way in which things should be. Sometimes that's just fact. Sometimes that's my idea of how things should be. But it's hard for me to accept those things when they aren't perfect as they are. I look at myself a lot of times as the last defense of correctness, especially at work, sometimes with things in my personal relationships. If I think they should be a certain way, because I was taught that way, or that's just how it makes sense to me, then I advocate for things to be that way. I don't know if it's necessarily about control, but for me it's about right and wrong. And if I give in to the way, for some reason I've equated into my mind that if I give in to how things are instead of how they should be, I'm admitting defeat. And for me, admitting defeat is one of the worst things that I can do. Mostly because there's been so many times I've admitted defeat in the past when I could have changed things for the better. So now, instead of trying to change things here and there, I think I have the ability to make everything better. So those things that I can't control, that I still see are wrong, for me, that's admitting defeat if I don't try to change them. And that's the mental epiphany that I've had about my anger. When I see something like that, I feel the need, the desire to make it right or to change it so that to myself, I don't admit defeat. That's probably not the healthiest outcome or look on life. It makes sense to me, but now that I'm aware of it, I'm not quite sure how to change it, except be aware of that in those moments and maybe try to take a step back. The other good news that I've noticed is that I don't get mad for nearly as long anymore. I used to get mad and then dwell on it and stay pissed because I'd just be sitting there and thinking about it. Now I'm a little bit more able to move on from these things. Yeah, I was mad. Now I'm over it. Now I can move on. So thank you again, and all the credit goes to DDPY. Why? Because it's about the only thing that's changed in my life since all of these issues had started however many years ago. So, now that that heavy stuff is out of the way, that's going to conclude this week 12 of DDPY, actually week 13 total of DDPY, but week 12 of the beginner program. You know the drill. Stay centered, my friends.